Okay, welcome back. Today we're going to be discussing this Zastava M70 AK. This is the n-pup, not the z-pup version, so no cold hammer forged cold chrome line barreling on this model, but still a very good AK. I really like this AK. It's actually served pretty well so far. This is based off of the Yugo M70, but this is made by Zastava in Serbia, so this is the Serbia M70. Let's go ahead and first clear it. Nothing down in the chamber, no magazine. And we will do as I do always in my videos and disassemble this AK. Now with the M70 series, they have a little detent button back here you have to push on to actually push this forward, which releases the dust cover. And then we can push all the way to remove the recoil spring. Pretty similar to most other AKs, just a little bit different because of that little button. Now we can remove the bolt. Bolt and bolt carrier, I should say. Now if we wanted to, let's get that out of focus, come on. Now if we wanted to actually disassemble this further, we can do that by basically punching out these pins here and here. So we have two pins here and here that we gotta punch. We actually have to push them in through this bottom way, not this top way. I don't want to confuse anybody there. But you can see this pin right here is kind of sticking out in there. And that pin holds in this pin, sort of. Well, this pin holds in that pin. Anyway, not to be too confusing, you have to push out this pin first, and then this pin. And then when you put it back, you have to put this pin back in first, or this pin back in first, and then this pin, right? And that will remove the firing pin and the extractor. So firing pin is a little bit different from most other standard AKs. The M70s do a few things differently, but it still works. Now let's move forward here and take off the gas portion of this. See there, if we want to take off this part, you just do it as in any other normal AK. Just grab it and twist it around. Now you don't necessarily want to do that too much on these wooden AKs. The wood has a tendency to kind of crack and deform when you do that quite a bit. So it really actually depends on the wood, I would actually say. This wood is actually pretty good. I actually like this wood. Not a cheap laminate wood that you'd find on most Century Arm AKs, but this one, not too bad, you know. I like it. I would like to put maybe some nice red Russian wood. I don't know if they make any M70 wood variants, like Russian redwood ones, but maybe they do, maybe they don't. Maybe the Yugos maybe could work on this. I'd have to check. And then we can move the forward part here, lower part of the handguard. Come on. Might be better if I use a screwdriver to get it started. Very tight in there. I actually probably should have moved the cleaning rod before that. Note to do that before. Again, this part isn't necessarily a part that really needs to be removed a lot on the AK variant of rifles. Just kind of pulling it off to show you that maybe you want to compare this to maybe how some other AKs are out there, some other standard AKs. There you go. The only other part is it's got the typical AK slanted flash or muzzle device here. I don't want to call that a flash suppressor because it's not. And that is basically field stripped. One nice thing about these Zastava AKs is they do have a bulge forged trunnion up here. Very tough, very thick, very robust. This is definitely what you want to see on like a, a AK that's going to last you a long time. It's got a pretty typical AK trigger in there, trigger group. Got the typical safety selector. It is nice that they have some these holes here drilled out a little bit for the D10 in there. On some of the Sentry Arms AKs, you don't have that. A little bit annoying, but I kind of like that. It makes it a little bit smoother and you get a little bit more of a positive, safe to semi-auto fire on there. This does have a mounting rail on there. I can't tell you what mounting rail this is, but there are plenty of mounts out there. I've looked them up online. There's quite a variety of them out there that will work for this one. So if that's a big purchasing item there for you, then that's something to look at. I personally don't think you really need an optic on an AK like this. This is pretty much a really good range toy, I think. There are some practical applications you could use for this. Definitely. Maybe not competition because this is a little bit heavy of an AK, but who knows? I mean, you could still use it. I mean, it's not too much heavier than a typical AK, maybe a pound or two more, but it's definitely got some real nice beefy parts to it. This forward gas block is definitely a lot beefier than you see on some of the lower class AKs out there. That might not be such a big selling point for most people. I like to just have parts being big, beefy, and last long. That might add more weight to it, which might slow you down a bit in the field, but it's going to be more reliable. Put this back in. Yeah, come on. Probably a much better tool to use than some channel locks here. Most problems with an AK can very easily be fixed by hammering something on it, which is nice. Can't really do that with any of my ARs, but they got their both their pros and cons. Bolt and bolt carrier. Simply slide this piece this trench here. And there we have it. Full field stripping and reassembling. Let's check out that trigger. Not really any wall there at all. Show you that again. Reset. And it just kind of rides itself after you would hit a point where you would expect to hit a wall. Instead of hitting a wall, it's sort of like falling off a cliff. It's kind of like walking, falling down a hole. Some people might like that. I think that definitely some better trigger jobs could be done out there. You know, I have a Century Arms AK that I think the trigger on that might be a little bit nicer than this one. And that's probably the only really good thing that that AK actually has over this one. This one's definitely built a lot more robust and just more of what you would expect an AK to have. But I've definitely been very satisfied with the Zastava M70 so far. And I will definitely like to get my hands on probably more Zastava AKs or even Yugo AKs, which this is technically a clone of the Yugo M70. But anyway, that is my review on the Zastava M70, and I will see you in my next video.